Hey, what's going on, folks? So recently we reacted to a video, basically history of the world, kind of. It was like a 20-minute video. We had a good reception from educational content, and it made me excited to keep doing this. If you guys have content that are educational in under 20 minutes that are fun and to watch, go ahead and recommend those. Look, it gotta be educational and, well, first of all, you can recommend anything in the world. For the purpose of this conversation, though, like educational and fun. Some people will hit you with this lecture. And I don't know what's up with people that they watch this stuff. I'm looking for, I guess I'm just gonna say it. I want to be entertained as I'm learning something. Is that wrong? Is it wrong to want to be entertained as you're enjoying something? Anyway, so we're gonna jump into this. What if we nuke a city? The other video I got that I'm interested in is basically the Cold War. I had it lined up. Where is it? Oversimplified, the Cold War, and I'm interested in that one. But first, we're gonna jump into nuking a city. I'm actually probably gonna post the Cold War before this. It doesn't matter when I record this. I'm not gonna overcomplicate it. But let's jump into the video. All right, let's do it.
Playing around with nuclear weapons in videos is fun. There's a visceral joy in blowing things up and a horrifying fascination with things like fireballs, shockwaves, and radiation.
That's unfortunately
and
true.
While it does help put our destructive power in perspective, it's not the best way of understanding the real impact of a nuclear explosion. This isn't about silly stacks of TNT or about how bright an explosion is. Nuclear weapons are about you. So we've partnered with the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement to explore what would really happen if a nuclear weapon were detonated in a major city today. Not nuclear war, just one explosion.
One explosion. Damn. Okay, that's different. Usually these videos are like nuclear war at the exchange, American response time, Russia's going to counter, and then there's other countries in the middle of this. They're like, shoot, if y'all firing nukes, we're going to preemptively fire nukes too. It's crazy. So one bomb, kind of see what happens. I know this is an educational video, but I just want to stop and say, this is not something, in my opinion, that's unlikely. If you guys don't like these kind of pauses, please let me know. Right before we jump in, I do follow like the Russian and Ukrainian conflict, and one strategy that I've read is Russia nuking a NATO country that was the least important. And it would be to nuke them and then test the NATO response because no one wants to escalate. And if you nuke a city that's part of NATO and NATO doesn't nuke back or anything like that, it really puts some tension on how strong this NATO alliance is. It's one thing if you nuke one of the big boys, but you nuke somebody, I don't know, I'm not going to list somebody. You nuke somebody in America, especially under our current administration, not speaking politics, but we have an administration that's transactional, in my opinion. It's like, we're going to do something, but what's in it for us? We're not going to give you weapons, but we'll sell you weapons. Or we'll give you some weapons, but we definitely want to sell you weapons too. That's what it is. I hope you can handle that since this is the topic of the video. So this is actually something that, in my humble opinion, it's not out of the realm of possibility. One nuke, one city. And they have tactical nukes too.
We begin our story in the middle of downtown in a major city. People are going to work, studying for exams, are lost in their thoughts and daily lives. Right here, a nuclear weapon is detonated and time freezes. The first phase of the explosion happens within less than a second.
They said time
in a millisecond,
freezes.
A ball of plasma hotter than the sun appears and grows in a fireball to more than 2 kilometers across. Within this ball, everyone is just gone.
Gone.
Think
Those are
of
lucky
water
ones.
dripped onto a very hot pan. A sizzle, and then there's nothing. Most buildings, cars, trees, tacky sculptures, and people, all evaporated.
Gone.
First, the flash, an intense tsunami of light, washes over the city in an instant.
A tsunami of light. What a
If
description.
you happen to have your head pointed in the direction of the explosion, it renders you blind for a few hours. The heat of this light produces a thermal pulse, so energetic and hot that it just burns everything as far as 13 kilometers from the detonation site. What this means is that everything in an area of 500 square kilometers that is able to burn starts burning. Plastic, wood, fabric, hair, and skin.
If it can burn,
If you
it will burn.
Happen to be in reach of the thermal pulse, one moment you're on your way to work, the
Next moment you're literally on fire.
Now the second
saw where
phase
that was
begins.
going.
It happens in a few seconds. Most people will now first notice that something is wrong, but it's already too late for hundreds of thousands. The flash is followed by the shockwave. The heat and radiation of the fireball
It's freaking scary.
create a bubble of superheated and supercompressed air around it that's now expanding explosively. Faster.
The air is expanding explosively. The details and the choice of description doesn't fall short on my ears, you know?
Than the speed of sound, creating winds stronger than hurricanes and tornadoes.
Hurricanes?
Human infrastructure is no match for its power. Most major buildings within a kilometer of the fireball are just ground up down to their base. Only steel-reinforced concrete is able to partially resist the pressure. In the surrounding parks where retirees feed the ducks, trees blackened and smoldering from the heat a second before snap like toothpicks. If you're outside, you get tossed away like a grain of dust in a tornado. The shock wave weakens as it travels outwards, but still, about 175 square kilometers of houses collapse like they're made of cards, trapping tens of thousands of people who didn't have any time to react.
That oil is just going to sit there, not on fire?
Gas stations explode and fires spread
I was a little early.
throughout the rubble. A mushroom cloud made
That's
from the
what she
remains
said.
of the fireball, dust and ash rises kilometers into the sky in the next few minutes and casts a dark shadow over the ruined city. This violently pulls in fresh air surrounding the city, destroying more buildings and providing an abundance of oxygen.
Not only is an explosion that goes boom, then the air has to fill it back up and you get bodied again. You get bodied by fire, you get bodied by the explosion of wind, and then you get bodied by wind returning or oxygen returning to fill in a vacuum. That's insane. I'm actually going to run that back. This violently pulls fresh
the city,
air.
destroying more buildings and providing an abundance of oxygen.
And this fire's going to
It depends
go
on the
crazy.
city what happens next. If there's enough fuel, fires may turn into a firestorm that burns the rubble, everybody trapped in it, and people trying to flee the
There's a
devastation.
rush of oxygen
Up
comes
to
back.
21 kilometers from the explosion, people just like you rush to their windows to take pictures of the mushroom cloud, unaware that the shockwave is still coming at them,
be
about
careful,
to shatter
guys.
their windows and create a blizzard of sharp
Good thing you
glass.
watch this video. They don't
The
know.
third phase begins.
Hey babe, I'm gonna finish this video and then we'll have dinner together.
In the coming hours and days. We're used to the idea that help will come no matter the disaster. This time is different. A nuclear explosion is like every natural disaster at once. There are hundreds of thousands or millions of people with serious injuries, lacerations, broken bones, serious burns. In the next few minutes and hours, thousands more will die because of these injuries.
Then the radiation
Countless people are
poisoning.
trapped in collapsed buildings like in earthquakes, or blinded by the flash, deaf from the blast wave, and unable to flee through streets impassable with rubble and debris.
That's crazy.
They're terrified,
Debris.
confused, and don't know what's happened to them or why. Most likely, many hospitals have been leveled along with all the other buildings, and most medical professionals are either dead or injured along with everyone else. The survivors lucky enough to have been in metro tunnels or standing in the right place to be unburned and unhurt won't have truly escaped harm yet. Depending on the type of weapon, where it explodes, and even the weather, an awful black rain can begin, with radioactive ash and dust descending on the city, covering everything and everyone. The invisible, malicious, silent horror of radiation takes its turn. Every breath carries poison to the lungs of the survivors. Over the coming days, the people who receive the highest doses of radiation exposure will die.
That poor little
There will
girl.
be no help, not for hours or maybe even days.
If you guys are used to watching me, these videos are normally hype. I hope you can understand. This is gruesome. And it makes me sick to my stomach. It's not fiction. This is like reality. It's been done before. It's horrific.
There will be no help, not for hours or maybe even days. Civilization doesn't operate when there is a total breakdown of infrastructure. Roads are blocked, train tracks warped, runways cluttered with rubble. No water, no electricity, no communication, no stores to replenish supplies from.
Nothing.
Help from surrounding cities will have a hard time entering the disaster zone.
Because of radiation.
And even if they can, the radioactive contamination will make it risky to get too
Ain't no one coming for you.
close. After a nuclear attack, you're on your own.
That's crazy.
So, bit by bit, people emerge from the rubble, on foot, contaminated with radioactive fallout, carrying what little they may have left. They are slow, in pain, traumatized, and they all need food, water, and medical treatment fast. And the damage done by a nuclear weapon doesn't end when the fires burn out and the smoke clears. The hospitals
radiation
in the neighboring cities are under-equipped for a disaster of this scale.
Of course
and
they would.
Overwhelmed with tens or hundreds
Of
of
course they
thousands
would.
of patients with serious injuries.
Don't the patients
In the
bring
weeks,
radiation?
months, and years to come, many of those who survived will succumb to cancers like leukemia. The reason no government wants you to think about all this is because there is no serious humanitarian response possible to a nuclear explosion. There's no way to really help the immediate victims of a nuclear attack. This is not a hurricane, wildfire, or earthquake, or nuclear accident. It is all of these things at once,
But worse.
No nation on Earth is prepared to deal with it.
Yo, we know what to do if someone nukes us. We know the military response. We prevent it. Once it's happened, because you have to think about it. You don't know which city's going to be nuked, right? So you have to have millions and millions of dollars of equipment and personnel on standby to go any and everywhere in the nation, hypothetically. Pretty much your major cities. Aside from your major cities, I do know that usually one of the first nuclear responses, they'll try to actually hit, in an event of a nuclear war, more often than not, they will target your ability to fire nukes in the first place. So, we don't even want it to happen, but my imagination is they go after your nuclear silos before they actually go after a major populated city, unless you have like a military base there. But hey, it sends a message, cripples economic might, or, this is just a video showing things that can happen. But yeah, I was just saying, the point of all of it was there's just not enough resources to prepare for everything. So it's just like, F it. Hope it doesn't happen.
The world has changed in the past few years, with world leaders again explicitly and publicly threatening each other with nuclear weapons.
How did I start off this video? What month did this come off? What year did this come out? 5 years ago? It was happening like 2 years ago, man.
Many experts think the danger of a nuclear strike is higher than it has been in decades.
Experts like Lee.
Governments tell their citizens that it's good that we have nuclear weapons, but it's bad when anyone else gets them. That it's
Governments like
somehow
the US of
necessary
A.
to threaten others with mass destruction to keep us safe.
Hell yeah.
But does this make you feel safe?
No.
It only takes a small group of people with power to go crazy or rogue, a small misstep or a simple misunderstanding to unleash a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions.
This is no exaggeration.
Exploding stuff in videos is fun.
Not in real life.
Things in real life, not so much. There is a solution though. Eliminating all nuclear weapons and vowing never to build them again.
And this, what happens if an alien invasion happens, that we need our nuclear weapons to defend ourselves?
In 2017, almost 2/3 of all the world's countries, supported by hundreds of civil society organizations and the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement, agreed to prohibit and eliminate nuclear weapons.
You know who didn't agree to it? America, Russia. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if China actually agreed to this. I don't think the UK did. I don't think France did. That's for sure. Believe it or not, I would not be surprised if China did. Not because I think they're a protagonist or an antagonistic country, but they move interestingly and they move with tact. And I just don't know.
It's not about who has nuclear weapons and who doesn't. The weapons themselves are the problem. They are deeply immoral and an existential threat to all of us. No matter what country you come from, no matter what political side you find yourself on, we need to demand that they disappear forever. This will not happen without pressure. If you want to be part of this pressure, there are things you personally can do too. Visit notonukes.org to learn more about nuclear weapons and what you can do about them.
I am actually curious about this. I'm one of those weird people where, of course, I believe that the world should not have nuclear weapons. No to nuclear weapons. I think I got it. No to nukes. But I want to tell you guys why I don't think it will happen. Sorry, no to nukes. And why, like, what the barrier is. So, we're not going to get rid of nuclear weapons because nuclear weapons, as far as I know, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just sharing my knowledge. It's an educational channel. This is what I know. I'm not naive on the topic. They also prevent large-scale conventional wars. Because, for example, let's just use the United States and Russia. Why is the United States not really being aggressive on Russia with its military and the NATO powers, in my opinion? It is because Russia has nuclear weapons, and Russia talks about the nuclear weapons. If Russia did not have nuclear weapons, I'm confident America and her allies would be more aggressive in Ukraine. If not America, somebody else. England, it doesn't even matter. Probably England. They would just start sending troops over there because you got to get through Ukraine to get to them, so they're just going to hold the line right there in Ukraine. Russia knows this. So why would Russia give up its nuclear weapons? It's they would struggle in a conventional battle against all of NATO. So what they have is, if we are going to go down, we will nuke y'all. And we think they might do it, so we don't do it. A country like Pakistan, they just had an issue with India. By the way, not picking choosing sides. It's not the point of this. They just had a trouble with India. They started talking nukes. And it takes them like 2 minutes to send a nuke to the other side. There's no response time because they're right next to each other. India is the largest population on Earth. I think it surpassed China. Yo, if Pakistan is going to hold its own, they got to throw out nukes. Not that they're going to win the conflict, but they're going to be like, yo, if you're going to attack us, India, you're going to lose a lot of people. And that was something to think about. On top of that, other countries want the nukes because it's the great equalizer, right? So if you have a large conventional military that can't be defeated with your conventional military, you need nukes. You just need nukes. That's why sometimes these countries that are abusing their power as major military goes, it only incentivizes other people to get the nukes because they know if they get the nukes, you can't talk to them reckless. You just couldn't. You know, just the other day, by the way, this is not my political opinion. We're just talking geopolitical facts. Don't get wrapped up in which country you're from and why your country is right or whatever. Just speak facts. I am from the US of A. I stand with the US of A. And you can look at certain scenarios and say that makes sense or it doesn't make sense. So, for example, you know, the US of A and the homies from Israel, they bombed Iran, bombed this nuclear program, just ran over this country, did whatever the hell they wanted to their sovereignty. We are not going to focus on whether it was deserved, whether it was just, who's funding terrorists. We're not talking about that. The point of why I brought this up with is if Iran had nuclear weapons, no one's doing that. At least I don't think so. Or at least it brings up an argument. You'd hesitate. You'd hesitate because we're going to use ours. And it's like, well, we'll use it back. Yeah, but we both won't exist. We both won't exist. And say, oh, you crazy enough to do that? Try me. I wish you would. It's like, okay. So those are what those things do. So, and to edit the video, it's like, not only would we have to remove nuclear weapons, we'd have to draw lines and basically guarantee all existing countries their sovereignty right now. And we'd have to have a way to guarantee that your militaries aren't going to body these small militaries that have nuke, or these small countries that have nukes for their protection, basically. It's a big deterrent from a world war. I think that's one of the reasons why World War III has not happened, is because of the presence of nuclear weapons. Countries know what time it is, so we use proxy wars. Small little countries going at it. It's not us directly going at each other. The Russians and the United States, while both are involved in Ukraine, tend to kind of tiptoe around each other or use plausible deniability. That wasn't American. I don't know who was there. We didn't send anybody. So they died doing a Patriot missile because they was training some Ukrainians. Because if Americans are really getting killed by Russians and we publicize it and we make an issue of it, then, you know, it draws us closer to a war. Both countries don't want the smoke. We're going to talk and posture, but I don't think either country wants to smoke. This video actually forced me to be serious. Like, I can't even troll around. I don't take nuclear war lightly. I don't take war lightly. Nuclear war is just an ugly thing. It's such an ugly thing. It's disgusting. It's just disgusting. The video made me feel uncomfortable because it can happen to any one of us, and it's unfair. You're just chilling, and two idiots that are in power can just spark this. I'm pretty sure that if the leaders of the United States or Russia wake up in a bad enough mood, they can just get this popping. I don't really think it takes much. It doesn't. And it's unfair. That's where my frustration is. It's like the people that make these decisions barely feel the consequences, although I would think you'd feel the consequences in a nuclear situation. You wouldn't have a safe place to go to. The whole thing is nuked. Your whole area. You can't go golfing if the golf course is nuked. Full of radiation. So that's that, man. I don't know if you guys even learned anything. It was just like, yo, it's just very powerful. Since the only use of nuclear weapons in 1945, the International Red Cross and Crescent Movement has been calling on states to ensure they are never used again. Today, more than ever, states should actively work towards nuclear disarmament and adhere to the Treaty of Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. What I want to know is, like, how do you guarantee, like, what do you get for giving up your nuclear weapons? I know that sounds incredibly selfish because we're talking about the preservation of mankind, but we're talking about state topics that states consider. These nukes are for my protection, and if I'm going to give them up, how do you ensure my protection? You know, how do you ensure that we're not going to get invaded if we give up these nukes? That's my last 2 cents. My understanding is Ukraine gave up having nukes when the Soviet Union was falling apart or separated, and they were supposed to get protection between the United States and Russia. It was some type of mutual understanding. Long story short, that's falling apart. They don't got nukes. Now they're getting bodied. No, they're actually not getting bodied. They're not. That's actually a very disrespectful phrase. They're actually doing very, very well given their size and stuff. All right, man. I gotta go. I told my daughter I was going to eat dinner with her, and now I'm talking to you guys about the horrors of nuclear war. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Until the next video, let me know if you guys want more of these. Peace.